It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and some small cubicle in New York City, New York. And this is CarEdge Live for Friday, February 21st, with your hosts, me, Ray, I couldn't afford a collar today, and Zach, who, well, bless his heart's wearing a hoodie. How are you this morning or afternoon, handsome?
Could be the same hoodie I was wearing yesterday.
Could
Long
be.
night, but that's okay, Dad. Happy Friday. So grateful to be with you here. We have a sponsor for today's show, our friends over at Delete Me. We're going to be talking about them in just a little bit. Before that, Pops, CarEdge.com. If we can help you all out with anything, check it out back at CarEdge.com. If you want to get the best deal when you buy a new or used car, you can save thousands back with CarEdge. And our car buying service works for both new and used vehicles and buying or leasing. Please, folks, go check it out, caredge.com.
So, if I hear you correctly, if I can read between the tea leaves there,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to get the best possible car deal, don't go to our website. But if you're interested in perhaps getting the best possible car deal and saving the most money you can while getting that car deal, you should indeed spend some quality time at caredge.com utilizing some of our free resources.
Automakers are delaying new models. Suppliers are feeling the pinch. Guys, automakers are stopping the production of new vehicles. Now, to be very clear, we are seeing this manifest itself in a variety of ways. One is with Nissan and Mercedes-Benz, where they're actually literally pulling back, and we're going to have less vehicles produced at their production facilities. We saw that last year significantly with Stellantis, Jeep, as well as Ford. They postponed production and shut down some factories for periods of time. And now the big news was we talked about the F-150 refresh, or that the new generation of the F-150 being paused. Automotive News now has an entire article talking about the impacts not only for Ford doing that, but General Motors pushing back big redesigns of key vehicles as well, both EV and internal combustion engine vehicles. So, Dad, it's Ford, it's General Motors, it's Nissan, it's Mercedes. Seemingly, it's all the automakers right now, except for Toyota, are pulling back and they're stopping the production of new vehicles. That's a huge news. That's tremendous news because, well, 3 years ago we were begging, pleading, screaming with them to make more vehicles, and now they have the opportunity to, and they're choosing not to.
Well, they might not necessarily, in many cases, they might not necessarily not be producing as many or more vehicles. They're just not going to be producing the newest of them as they had originally been scheduled. They are figuring out ways to delay new model introductions, the new generation F-150, the new generation GM pickup trucks. They will do refreshes instead of complete makeovers. It costs less. They're going to squeeze every penny of profit out of the aged model run as they can before they make major cash outlays to redo the vehicle altogether. And some of the reasons for that are nobody knows what the hell is going to happen when it comes to tariffs and how that could impact production of vehicles. So everybody's just, I think, trying to play it a little safe because they don't know. And most business leaders pride themselves on at least being able to project what the future might hold. You can't absolutely predict what it's going to be, but you can project based on government policies and things of that nature what the future might hold. And today it's like nobody knows. There is no sense of what the future could or will look like because there could be tariffs, there might not be.
I think tariffs are a little bit of a scapegoat here, Dad, to be honest. And the
Okay.
reason I say that is because last year, pre-tariffs, pre-new administration, what did we see a lot of automakers doing? And this was post-UAW negotiations for those automakers here in the United States that manufacture. They were already shutting down, walking back. I mean, we've got lawsuits out there right now for different manufacturing facilities that have been underutilized when the UAW contract said that they would be. So I think tariffs may end up being a bit of a scapegoat here to justify some of these behaviors. These automakers, I think, for months now have been bad side case planning and
Yes.
knew we're going to cut back on production. We're going to push back model year refreshes. We're going to push back new generations. And why? Because they need to conserve cash because their vehicles are not selling. So they saw the writing on the wall, or they could read between the tea leaves months ago, if not a year ago. And I think now it's actually kind of timely that tariffs are happening because, we're making these decisions. We're at a standstill, but that's because of the government. That's because of tariffs. I also want to be explicit. I'm pretty sure tariffs would impact them in many ways, but I think it's a scapegoat for a broader slowdown in the market that these organizations have been experiencing for a long time already.
Well, perhaps you're onto something. You can look at it, and every one of these CEOs can say, okay, what excuse can we give for why we're not moving forward?
Yeah.
And the excuse could be, well, we're just not 100% sure as to what the current administration is going to want. We don't know what the CAFE standards are going to be. We don't know what EPA is going to want us to do. We don't know what's going to happen with the infrastructure bills for EV charging stations and things of that nature. So until we have a clearer picture as to what that future may be, we're going to sit on our hands. We're going to sit back, and we're not going to move forward on a lot of the projects that we had committed to. So yes, you could be on to something there, because every one of these manufacturers is looking for ways to cut costs.
Look at what General Motors is pausing the investment in. GM is delaying by roughly a year their major mid-cycle enhancement of the exterior and interior of their full-size SUVs, the Tahoe, Suburban, Yukon, and Escalade. I mean, why are they doing that? They're saying they're doing that because the current style is selling well. It's selling well, and they don't want to outlay the money that they need to now, recoup from all these other areas where they've lost billions of dollars. So as long as people keep buying the old stuff, they're just going to keep selling the old stuff. Tariffs played no impact in that. That's just them seeing, okay, we can continue to sell stuff at way inflated prices and people keep buying it. At what point does the tipping happen where consumers say, no, I do want the refresh. Do you expect me to spend 120 grand on an Escalade? I want the upgraded one. I don't want the one that's been the same for the past 4 years.
And I think tariffs, or the potential for tariffs, can be an excuse for manufacturers not to go more down market and to build more affordable vehicles, because at this point they are content selling to the 14-15% of Americans who can actually afford to buy a car. And so most of the manufacturers are saying, well, the hell with the other 85 or 86%. We don't need them. We can be profitable without them. We can continue to produce and market high-priced vehicles that have high profit margins for us and not have to worry about producing low profit margin entry-level vehicles. So you very well could be onto something where all these manufacturers are going to use the threat or the possibility of tariffs as an excuse to continue to exclude 85 to 86% of the buying public.
I think so. And try and get back in a position of power from an inventory standpoint. We know these manufacturers, this is going to be the story that we touch on next after we thank our sponsor, Delete Me. We know that dealers and automakers right now are not in a powerful position in terms of inventory. They are drowning in their own inventory.
Yes.
So to stop producing new cars, to stop doing refreshes is a way for them to try and get more inventory control. At least that's my theory. Dad, this is not a theory. All right.
Yes.
There's a major issue going on out there in the world right now, and that is that data brokers are selling your information online, and anyone can buy it. Your phone number, social security number, home address, all that information and so much more are available to marketers, scammers, and anyone and everyone online. Delete Me, the sponsor of today's broadcast, helps you take control over your data. Delete Me has been a longtime partner of our show here at CarEdge Live, and they remove my personal data from hundreds of data brokers on my behalf, and they can do it for you as well. You can get started today with a 20% off coupon code. Just use CarEdge or click the link in the top of the description. joindeleteme.com/CarEdge. I opened here, Dad, my most recent monthly report from Delete Me. They send me these once a month, and you can see all the different websites where they are going and they are deleting my information so it is not out there. My name, my address, my occupation, where I lived in the past. So much information Delete Me is taking off for me online, and I know they're doing the same for you as well, which is fantastic.
It is, and let's keep them data brokers at bay with Delete Me.
All right, Pops, the other big story that ties into this is dealer floor plan costs. This was super fascinating. Car dealership guy posted this over on LinkedIn just yesterday. The data comes from Auto Finance News and Car Gurus. In Q4, across the 6 public dealer groups, floor plan expenses, the cost for dealers to finance unsold inventory, massively increased year over year. So let's sit with these numbers for a second, and then let's help connect dots.
Okay.
Asbury Automotive saw a 189% increase in floor plan expense year over year, up $23.7 million. AutoNation saw an 18.5% increase in floor plan cost to $55.1 million. Group 1, a 66.4% increase to up by $32.2 million. Lithia, a 34.2% increase to $64.8 million. Penske Automotive, they carry more luxury vehicles, more expensive, higher MSRP vehicles. So a 42% increase in floor plan expense to $189.8 million. And Sonic Automotive saw a 16.3% increase in floor plan expense to $21.4 million. The reason inventory is 17% higher today than it was a year ago. More cars to finance equals more interest to pay, and it's not getting cheaper anytime soon. What did you make of this when you saw the data, Pops?
Well, when I saw the Penske numbers, it was like, oh my God, they are stacking them deep when it comes to their expensive luxury inventory. That's not to say they're not selling them, because they are.
It's fascinating, though, because we looked at the data yesterday. Penske's making over $5,000 per new vehicle retailed right now, which is magnitudes ahead of their peers. So maybe their inventory situation at Penske is a little bit more like holding on to them longer, but they also sell more luxury vehicles.
Well, the average new car gross profit is going to be higher on luxury vehicles than it is on mass market brands. Which is why Penske has put their eggs in that basket all these years. But to think that it's 189 million, start doing math and figuring out how many billions of dollars worth of new car inventory they're carrying to have to spend $190 million to be able to have those vehicles on their respective dealer lots.
Yeah, when you frame it like that, they're paying almost $200 million a quarter for the privilege to sell cars.
Yes. And you know, but when you look at the cars they sell and the amount of profit they make, it is astronomical. I mean, I'm not going to name the German brand, but it's a sports car type of brand. And you know, when I was with the Penske organization years ago, they were averaging at that time about $8,000 per vehicle sold. Okay, and they were selling 100 plus a month. So yeah, I guess you can afford to pay the floor plan if you're doing that.
So what is increasing floor plan costs signal to you, especially in the context of where we started today's conversation, which is automakers are stopping the production of more vehicles. They're cutting back on shifts at their facilities, and they are postponing these refreshes or new generations. What does this data on floor plan tell you about some of those decisions?
Well, it just indicates that the big publics that are out there that sell mostly luxury vehicles are going to be paying a lot more for the privilege of having their vehicles on display on the ground at the different dealerships. But even the mass market brands, and you look at those groups, Asbury, Auto Nation Group. You're talking about, in many cases, it might be 35 to 40% of their business is based on mass market brands. So even they are, and when we think mass market brands, we're thinking vehicles priced from the low 20s. Well, I guess when you're at Toyota, upwards of the 80s and 90s, but the vast majority are probably below 40 or below 45,000. So if you're paying millions upon millions of dollars to carry that inventory, even on those mass market brands where we know they're not making nearly what Penske is per vehicle sold, that's, and I'm not suggesting that the publics aren't making a lot of money, the big, because they are. I mean, God knows they are. What was it? Which one is it? Is it Lithia, or one of them is buying the Herb Chambers Group in the Boston area for $1.34 billion. So they're making money.
Tie back to inventory. Right? We're starting. I mean, unless I'm wrong here, I've got a train of thought. And Phil's kind of hitting the nail on the head for me. This is why even those floor plan costs should be part of your negotiation strategy. Dealerships don't want to pay this. The reason I'm tying this back to inventory, we have automakers intentionally choosing to start to run their facilities at lower capacities, postpone those next generations, postpone those refreshes. You've got to imagine that all of these big public dealer groups, and let's keep harping on Penske for a minute, because they're the ones with the almost $200 million quarterly bill.
Yes.
Quarterly. What I'm thinking, Dad, is that the executives over at Penske must be having some conversations with, I don't know, name the automaker, and saying, hey guys, WTF, right? Like, you've always talked about the relationship. Buying a car is so weird. You have someone that makes it, then you have someone that distributes it, and then you have someone that sells it, the dealer.
Yeah.
It's a 3-tier system. Not to mention the fact that the production part is also multi-tiered. Like, this just adds so much stress to the ecosystem, doesn't it? Like, when this was a profit center for dealers and the automakers were making money hand over fist, everyone was happy.
Yes.
But right now, no wonder the automakers are kind of on the, taking their foot off the gas. I imagine they're getting phone calls from their friends, their dealer friends, telling them to go F themselves.
Well, I would think some of them, many of the dealers are concerned about the cost of the floor plan interest that they're paying, and they might be encouraging the manufacturers, especially the luxury manufacturers, cut back production to a degree. We don't mind having your high-priced cars here, but we would prefer to only spend, say, $150 million a quarter, as opposed to $200 million a quarter, in order to be able to display your vehicle. So cut back a little bit. Don't get back to the days of the pandemic, where there was just an absolute shortage of cars, and even though dealers were making money hand over fist, they're paying for it today because their customers felt taken advantage of at that point in time. So I think the dealers are probably asking the manufacturers to find a happy medium.
This is from Auto Finance News. This is from July of 2023. Penske Auto floor plan interest expense jumps 242%. Guys, this is when it jumped up to $30.8 million from $9 million the year before that. The number we were just looking at was almost $200 million. Almost $200 million from 9. And then I could, give me a second here and I'll find it. It used to be a profit center back during the
absolutely.
Because and you've explained this many times over, and I'll shut up in a second here. Explain to our community why dealers love turning inventory so fast. They get paid to sell the inventory super fast.
Well, the manufacturer realizes that there's a carrying cost to having vehicles on the lot, and so they help to subsidize that expense for the dealers. And in many cases, it might be 30 days worth of floor plan assistance or 60 days worth of floor plan assistance. So they'll pay the dealer enough money to cover the cost of floor plan, the interest that the dealer has to pay, for maybe 60 days. Well, if the dealer sells it in 30 days, guess what? they're still getting paid as if they were sitting on that car for 60. They picked up 30 days worth of additional profit on that floor plan interest that wasn't paid. When vehicles are in very, very short supply, like they were during the pandemic, the vehicles would come in and they were delivered within 72 hours. There was no floor plan interest to be paid at all, but the assistance for that floor plan was still pouring into the dealerships from the manufacturers. And then that was just unadulterated extra profit that nobody ever anticipated until the pandemic struck.
And think about the magnitudes of scale that we're talking about here, folks. If that expense can go up to $200 million, that profit center was very, very significant as well. Tens of millions of dollars for these automakers. So crazy how much the market has changed. And no wonder we're seeing the automakers now make changes at the production line level as well. We're going to jump to the chat before we do. I want to remind everyone back on CarEdge.com. If you want, we have an incredible car buying service. You just click on that button right there and you can learn more about our car buying service. We are public, folks, about the deals that we are able to secure for our community. So just come here and you can see those recent deals. Or if you click on see all deals right there, it opens up our verified prices page. These are both community submitted as well as concierge completed car deals. And you can see what we're capable of doing. It's really, really, really helpful before you make the decision to work with us or not. And our research center, gang, is so good. I really can't thank our team enough for the work they've done to build our 100% free research center, including the window sticker, dealer invoice, best new car deals every month, those verified deals, our calculators, lease deals. There's so much good stuff here, guys. Please go avail yourselves of those resources, and it is back on the website, CarEdge.com. Dad, from earlier in the show, we had from Mark. Thank you, Mark. Cars are used an average of 5% of the time. Why do you need a whole car? Robotaxi, cybercab time. We see some really innovative entrepreneurs suggesting that's what the future will be.
And it very well might be for two reasons. One, as you say, people only use the vehicle on average of 5% of the time. And two, nobody can afford the damn new vehicle anymore. So the only way to go will be the robo-taxi or the cybercab, because there's a much smaller percentage of the population that feels as if they can actually afford to own a car.
We've got from Rich. Thank you, Rich. Always appreciate your contributions and your part of our community. Ray, when I worked for Roger Penske, he was called the man with golden touch. He kept hitting gushers on everything he participated in. Yeah, I mean, you've had great things to say about your time working at Penske Automotive Group.
Absolutely, and yeah. Roger, for whatever reason, he always pretty much had his fingers on the pulse of what was going on. A pretty remarkable man when you think about it, especially with his history in racing and all that. But how he took to retail automotive and developed Penske Automotive the way he has. This was a guy that literally, he used to come to Phoenix twice a year, and one of those trips was we would always have meetings with him. We would go store by store. The sales managers and the general managers would go in and he'd just pepper you with questions, and it was your job to have the answers and to anticipate what the questions were going to be.
That sounds intimidating.
Yeah, a little bit. And he used to take the area managers and all the vice presidents and they, they walked the campus and they walked all, and there were nights they'd still be walking around, looking at the stores, checking for, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. He's still schlepping these people around behind you. They're following like lost dogs. Okay. Because he's used to getting by on 4 or 5 hours sleep every night. It was just an incredible display of stamina that you would see from him. And the stamina oftentimes came from the excess amount of chocolate that he would eat. Because it was like every time he'd come into the showroom, he said, "Ray, you got $1? I need to get something out of the vending machine." He was
So cool that you used to work for him, Dad. So cool.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Let's keep going here in the chat. We've got from Stefan. Thank you, Stefan. I'm actually about to buy a 2007 BMW M6 and spending a couple of thousand on preventative maintenance. Hard to believe that is a cheaper option at the moment. Wow.
That is hard to believe, and it might not be that cheaper option 6 months from now. When let me put this as politely as I can. When poop starts breaking, okay, because when that poop starts breaking, it's expensive poop.
Oh yeah, that certainly sounds it. A 2007 BMW to begin with, but an M6 at that part. Oh geez, that's absolutely crazy.
Yes,
But hey, more power to you. More
it will
power
be a
to you.
fun car though.
We've got from Jungle Book Dad. Why am I sitting in a restaurant bathroom? I'm trying to. Is the sound better today? I was hoping the acoustics would be better.
It's a little echoey. It could be because your microphone's kind of falling down a little bit. That might sound better if it's actually closer to your face.
Is that better, Dad?
Much.
Shocker.
Yeah, incredibly better. And and I think everybody will appreciate the fact that we only waited 26 minutes to figure that out. Yeah.
All right. Yep. All right. Thanks, y'all. Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hey, we've got some kind words here from Gus. Thanks for the great service you guys are doing. I'm so proud of the love you have for each other. Absolutely. Feeling super grateful. Feeling super, super grateful this Friday, Dad. We've been an incredible February. I mean, we've been, just for our community to know, it's been the busiest, probably, I mean, it's like, yeah, one of our busiest months ever.
Really?
Not on the concierge side. It's been a little slower on the concierge side. So folks,
It's February.
It's February. So, but if you don't want to do the work of buying a car, CarEdge concierge, let our car buying service do it for you. But yeah, man, every other part of the business, we're just swamped right now in a great way, in an absolutely great way. So it's all thanks to our community, for everyone who supports us.
Well, that's a good thing. It's better to be busy than not. I just know that from many years in retail.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, guys. Now I know for the future. I just got to hold it
Yes.
right here. So lesson learned. All right, Dad, that's all I had for today's show. We could talk about CarEdge stuff, but I don't know. That's all the CarEdge Live I had for today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our community?
Not that I'm aware of, other than it is flipping freezing in my apartment today because it's windier than poop outside, and the wind is coming from the northwest, which is a bad sign for me. And it reminds me of why I need to get my sliding glass doors replaced. So I'm working on that today.
Yeah, well, enjoy that, Dad. And Sarah, thank you for the kind contribution. We really appreciate it. I don't know if Sarah wanted to send a message with that. So we'll stay on for a second here, Sarah, to see if you intended to share something with us. While we're waiting, I will mention one of the new things we have back at caredge.com is our buyer's guide. So if you're on caredge.com, you can go to the car search. And then from the car search, you can click on a vehicle. So in this case, that new Volvo T8 plug-in hybrid. Just scroll down right here and you can get the ultimate CarEdge buyer's guide for that particular vehicle in your region. Same deal with the window sticker. So adding more and more new stuff, and holy cow, 328 days supply on that particular Volvo. We've got here, Dad. Let's see. Did anything from Sarah come in? No. Okay.
I don't think so.
Thanks for the kind contribution. We really appreciate it. Okay, we'll call it a show then. We'll be back on Monday. How's that sound, Pops?
It sounds good. When are you going back to DC?
Coming back tomorrow. So super quick trip.
Well, have fun in the big city tonight, and
thank you.
And stay out of trouble.
Going outdoor rock climbing on Sunday, man. Can't wait.
In New York City? No, in DC.
No. And back in the DC area. Yeah.
What's the weather supposed to be in the 40s? I think by then.
Yeah, mid 40s.
Oh
so
my God! It'll seem incredibly hot. Oh my goodness!
All right, let me ask you a question. Do you want photos from when I do it? Do you want to see photos, or do you not want to see photos?
Only if you don't fall. If you fall, I don't want to see any of those photos of how you landed. That I don't want to see.
That's fair.
But if you're climbing good, buddy,
consider it done, Pops.
Yeah, but never let go. Just never let go.
We'll see you on Monday, folks. Love you, Dad.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Love you too, handsome.